Hello, I'm Kimberly Henry, and this is Living the Good Life. In this series, we'll feature conversations around ways to embrace the goodness of life and take a big, juicy bite out of it. Food for the soul and the funny bone. Learn to give more time to yourself, become a better friend, lead an amazing life, and how to tell the best joke at the party. Living the good life can mean different things to different people. Whatever it is for you, I hope you'll find some inspiration here to live your most joyful, authentic life. Now, on to today's conversation. After 5 years of full-time RV living, we've started asking some questions about what the next chapter might look like. Do my husband Randy and I want to keep doing this? Where might we eventually land? And what do we want our home to feel like in the next chapter? That's why I was so intrigued by the work of my guest, Kim Costa. Kim is a realtor, author, speaker, and creator of Lifestyle Foundations and the Wheelhouse Assessment. She helps people look beyond bedrooms, budgets, and square footage to ask a much more personal question. Does the place I live actually support the way I want to live? Kim is also the author of Live in Your Wheelhouse, an empowering guide to stay, go, or reno. Today, we're talking about why familiar doesn't always mean right and how changing our surroundings, even in small ways, can help us become more of who we really are. Kim, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yeah, me too. Reading through your story, you have lived in all kind of different situations throughout
hmm
your lifetime. And if I understand correctly, you've kind of taken how you've developed those different living situations and made those decisions and put that into a book that you're writing, coursework that you're putting together or you have put together, the Wheelhouse Workshop,
Right.
and teaching other people to how to make those choices for themselves. What made you feel like this is something that other people needed to know about?
Well, really, what I wanted to do was provide clarity because I do talk to so many people that they're like, I don't know where I'm going next. I don't know if this house is good enough or if I should move. And a lot of it stems around life change. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what people are really deciding to do is do I stay, do I go, or do I do I renovate? So
Mm-hmm.
that means staying, but making some changes, like some broader changes than just reorganizing a room.
Right.
And a lot of times it's people going through life change that can't decide what their next step is.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole wheelhouse process, the wheelhouse assessment is about clarifying who you are, first of all, like how do you want to live in your next stage of life? And is your current home matching that and supporting that? Or do you have a flat wheel, like a flat tire in the wheel of life in any of the 8 areas that it involves?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think this is, like I said, this is something that I deal with almost daily, living in an RV.
hmm
And we have many, all of our spaces are multi-use spaces, right?
Sure.
And,
I love it.
and
Very
so,
efficient, right?
right? And I love it too. But I'm always looking for a way to make it feel more right for whatever. So I think that I really resonate with your some of your blog posts about, let's just, the one I was reading earlier today, the bedroom situation, just redoing that.
Yes.
The other way that I resonate though with your content is we did make a decision at one point in time. We had a beautiful home in
hmm
a beautiful place, and we could have stayed there for the rest of our lives, but
hmm
we felt we needed to shake things up, make a shift or whatever, and so we sold everything, including 95% of our tangible belongings got sold or
Wow.
given away. And that was a huge shift. And now, 5 years in, we are at that point where we're like, okay, well, how long are we going to continue this?
hmm
Where are we going to land? How are we going to do it? And so maybe I stumbled upon you right at the right time for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And then every time we move, we have to redesign our exterior. What does our living space look like outside, and how do we make that feel like home? So,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things I want to unpack with you today. But back to the wheelhouse stuff. I love the 3 M's and the 8 keys that are
Mm-hmm.
involved with that. So do you want to share a little bit about those things and why they became part of this wheel
Sure,
process?
absolutely. So the wheelhouse assessment is in the shape of a home, and at the very bottom you have the foundation, and that's where the M's live. And actually, I added an M, so there are 4 M's now. The first is myself. Who am I? How was I made? Am I living authentically, or am I, doing what everybody else tells me to do, or have I lost myself somewhere along the way? So the first is aligning with who you truly are. The
Mm-hmm.
second is mastery. That is mastering skills that you were given, and that brings joy. It's been proven to bring joy if you're in your zone of genius. And
Mm-hmm.
then three is mission. What are you doing with your skills that you've mastered to help other people? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, that makes the world a better place and makes you happier and other people happier. So it's, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. And the last one is mates. So, your partner, your friends, family members that you're very close to, who are you allowing into your life and into your home? And do they support you? Or
Mm-hmm.
in some way, even unconsciously, do they sabotage the real you? And so, those are the 4 M's. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there, you can go up into the living level of the house, the living areas of the house. And there are 8 areas, and those are finance, health, environment, career, romance, fun and leisure, spirituality, and family and friends. So you answer a series of questions in those area and evaluate your current situation that you're living in against what would be a 10 out of 10 in that area.
And so this is on your website, I know,
Correct. Yes.
at lifestylefoundations.com. So you can go
Mhm.
there and do that. How did you come to develop this? How did you come up with these foundations and keys?
Who I am is an ENFP, so I see patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very fascinated with people. I'm an intuitive empath. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've over and over again just watched how people live and whether they're joyous or not, because I can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and also through a lot of my own life change, where I changed everything in my life. Um, and I had to start from the very bottom, from my foundation. And that was, who am I really? I'm operating as an introverted sensing, thinking, an ISTJ, like the perfect accountant would have
Mm-hmm.
those attributes, but I am none of those. And
Right.
so I really had to start with, who am I? And am I living authentically? And the answer was no, I'm not. So I started with that. And then I remastered the skills I had when I was younger, but gave up, like writing, working with people, design, and all of those things, the more right
Mm-hmm.
brained. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the second M. And then my mission was to help other people discover their gifts and make an environment that supports them to be the real them. And then mates, I did switch, I did get divorced and get remarried.
Oh, wow.
And I think both of us are, we're all friendly. And I think both of us from that previous relationship are much happier with mates who see each other and like it's like a better formula for success are the two personalities that we now have with different people. So that was the foundation. I had to start there, and then I could change my living environment. It was almost
Mm-hmm.
necessary for me to change my living environment once I was aligned.
Right. You write in your on your blog about moving from the large farm environment to the
Mhm.
similar. I really resonated with that, to a small condo, I think it was.
Yes, yes, a 2 bedroom condo.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It was
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. It was very freeing. It was at a time when I was making career changes, lifestyle changes, changes to my marital status, children left home,
Mm-hmm.
um, learning a new trade. And so I really needed to push the easy button, but I didn't want to stop living. I had a luxury condo. I had all new, like very feminine furniture,
Mm-hmm.
moving from more of like a a farm with a lot of like hunting stuff, very masculine sort of. I made the my new home just for me to make the transition easier. And I still have my divine goddess painting over here in my office. And it was just a reminder. It's a very feminine white dress, very ethereal. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just sort of made my home into this is who I'm going to be. And every morning the sun would beam in my window of that apartment, and I would journal and sit with my little puppy, my little dog, and just think about what step am I going to take today to be the person I want to be.
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
Now, how do you use this with your clients
Yeah.
in real
So
estate?
at first when I was using the Wheel of Life with my own coach and I was becoming a realtor, I was moving to fix certain things. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I have to move to fix that. And then when I started helping people, I noticed that they were moving because of a job or finances or health, or they had another baby and the house was too small. I was always categorizing them into one or two of these 8 areas. And so
Mm-hmm.
then I thought, okay, this is not just a tool to improve your life, like in your career or whatever. It's a tool to assess your home, because a lot of times when your life is changing, your home is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So stay, go, and reno isn't just about the house; it's about people's lives as well.
I like that. I
Mm.
like that. How do your customers, how do people, I won't say your customers, how do your people that you encounter, how do they respond to this?
Very well. A lot of them, like sometimes the move is obvious, like I I got a promotion, I have to move to Seattle, right? So that's a no-brainer. You can't live in
Right.
Atlanta and unless you want to have two homes or, split the
Right.
family. So that was an obvious but then, for referring them to somebody across the country, what exactly are you looking for? You need to be near headquarters. You need to, like, the airport needs to be good, but you also need good schools for the kids. So, like, that's family and friends, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to go around and romance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to pick a home just for you, because then your spouse or your partner is going to most likely become resentful if you've
Mm-hmm.
left them out of the decision-making process. And it may take some time to show up, but it's very important that everyone gets recognized in the home, especially the two parental figures, or if it's a multi-generational family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Well,
so
and
really at first I was just doing it too much. I was just assessing each area myself and asking questions in areas that I thought maybe were getting overlooked. And
mm-hmm.
then I started writing down all of the questions that were coming up into each category and
Mm-hmm.
categorizing them in order of importance, so that's how the assessment started coming along. And now I have people actually take the assessment and they say, well, it's right here on this wheel. I need this, this, and that. And then
Mm-hmm.
each time I have a client, I write down their needs in each of the 8 areas. And then in order of importance, I need to ask them in order of what's most important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So a lot of the times we're thinking about, okay, location. We're thinking
Hmm.
about we have two
Number of
kids, we
bedrooms,
need three
yeah,
bedrooms,
and budget.
and budget.
Yeah,
But this goes like the next level or two deeper,
exactly.
right?
What do you like to do for a hobby? Well, I like to walk. I have a client right now. She
Mm-hmm.
needs to either have a large neighborhood or she needs to have a trail close by, because she likes to walk every day and she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to drive there. So, I mean, that is under fun and leisure, recreation
Mm-hmm.
that she
Mm-hmm.
likes to do. And because she's an empty nester, that also helps her health. So that's a health and fun and leisure recreation. It hits two of those areas, but I know it's a top priority for her.
Right. And we found that exact same thing where I love to be in a place where I can walk out my door, get on my bicycle,
Mhm.
and go where I want to go.
Yes.
And you would be surprised how difficult that is to
Oh,
find,
yes.
especially in RV parks. You would think campgrounds and RV parks would have that.
Hmm.
But I would say 9 out of 10 times
Yeah.
that is not the case.
And a lot of times, the ones I've seen recently in Florida and in Georgia, they're near a fairly busy road,
Yes.
right? And so that's not exactly where you're going to have the most fun riding.
Yes. And so that is something that we consider when we decide where we're going to spend time for sure.
Hmm.
Is do we have access to the things that make us happy, that
Right.
that we want to spend our time doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It could
That-
be something like for health and also someone who likes to cook. They need to be near somewhere that has farmers markets and organic food and fresh
yes.
vegetables and good meat and things like that might be very important to somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
not every place has that. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
something to consider.
Mm-hmm.
It's different for everybody. And so someone always asks me here and there, what is the most important thing to look for in a home? And I said, well, it actually depends on who you are. That's the point is the first step is who am I and how do I want to live? And
Yeah.
someone over here is going to be completely the opposite of somebody over here.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I think that, I mean, that's so foundational. That is the premise of this entire podcast is who am I and how do I want to live?
There you go.
And then how do we make that happen is the next step. So hopefully
Yes.
we're going to give some folks some ideas here on how they can evolve their living situation to suit who they are. I think a lot of the time we feel selfish
Mm,
or self-absorbed or ungrateful when we try to manage these things too deeply. It's like,
yes.
why should I complain if I can find a house in my budget that suits my numbers, my number of bedrooms, my budget, why should I
Hmm.
complain? Why should I continue to look when I have this? Or why should I think about moving when I have already what I need? But I think that those we show up better, as you were saying at the very outset, with the foundations, with the mission, um, and your mates. You show up better for yourself and other people when you feed your soul,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much. And your home should be a reflection of your individual soul. And it just, it depends on who you are. Do people walk in your home and do they feel like, oh my gosh, this is so you. It's so bright and cheery and there's a lot of entertaining space and or if you're more introverted, it might be soft fabrics and I'm talking
Hmm.
aesthetics, but it's more than aesthetics. It's really the introverted, perceptive person may need to get away and refuel themselves. So they may have a Zen den or a reading room or a music room or
Hmm.
somewhere they play an instrument, or again, the walking trails out in nature, a garden. So it's whatever their flavor of refueling themselves because we have an outside persona that we present to the world,
Hmm.
and we don't necessarily need to be. I would not want to be my outside persona, which is, realtor, negotiator. I mean, I need to refuel at home. So I have soft pink chairs and this ethereal white gown painting. It's very feminine. And this is where I come to refuel. And so your home needs to reflect the real you when no one else is around, when your guard is down, and how you refuel. It's not what, Susie's doing down the street, because Susie needs to be Susie. And maybe Susie likes pickleball, but, I'm a golfer or I'm a yogi or
Right.
whatever it is. You
Right.
need to be what, who you were meant to be.
That's an interesting spin. I agree with you. However, the little devil on my shoulder is going, what about authenticity? What
Yes.
about showing up in the world as the same person that you are in your cave?
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. And that's the goal, right?
Hmm.
But I think because I see so many people that haven't yet made the switch from, I really don't like being an attorney, but they're
Hmm.
making good money and they're
Hmm.
fulfilling their role to, support the family and help people with their lawsuits and things like that.
Yes.
It's easier said than done to make. I made the huge switch from being a corporate controller to a realtor author person, a creative type person. But but not everyone can do that. And so I
Mm,
just think it's important to start with a space that allows you to bit by bit start becoming who you
mm-hmm.
want to be. And that
Mm-hmm.
starts with your home environment because there is a saying, and I'm going to butcher this, but you can't change in the same environment that you've been in. And so to
Yes.
me, it starts with changing your environment to remind you of who you want to be. And then like little by little, I took a design course. I started researching personality theory, but I was still doing numbers 8 hours a day, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
but slowly I started switching over to more right brain functions, which is where I excel.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't quit my day job for, 5 years once I started doing it. But eventually I did it. But I set up my home environment to have the soft dresses and the pink chairs and the cozy puppy and
So
the
really, Kim,
sunrise
did
in the
it make a
morning.
difference? Did it make a
It made a
difference?
huge difference because right in front of me was who I wanted to be. And then I'd put my suit on and go to work. And then, I'd listen to a podcast at lunch and then finally I was like, I'm making the jump. I'm going to do it.
For
Yeah.
you. Good for you. Okay. Do you
Hmm.
have tips for people who maybe are resonating? Maybe they're not in the position to move just yet.
Right.
What changes can they make to begin working towards becoming more of themselves?
Well, the first thing is, I mean, and this is me, but I think it is helpful to take a personality test of some sort. I like the Myers-Briggs test. I
Mm-hmm.
like the Enneagram. One is how you were born and what skills you like, how your brain works.
Mm-hmm.
They're not exact science, but it'll give you some ideas to
Mm-hmm.
introspection. Enneagram is how you grew up and what things happened in your childhood that make you now operate a certain way. So those are two good things. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to take those tests, and a lot of people don't, and that is absolutely fine. I just believe that individuals are made, and it fascinates me to see who someone really is. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person. But
Mm-hmm.
some people don't care for those kind of tests. So just think back to what did you like to do when you were younger? Before
Yes.
like before everyone told you what you needed to do and oh, you'll be successful as a this or a that. My son loved to build things. He would Legos, all those construction sets, and he had the little toolkit and the construction hat, and now that's what he does. But he did have a little detour along the way where he was not dealing as much in like building things and more in like people skills, but he's much better. That's just who he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do believe he wants to get a house and build it and like work outside and like that's going to suit him wonderfully because he's a
Mm-hmm.
little more introverted and that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's wonderful. I think I fully embrace that. And not everybody does that, but I think that'd be perfect for him and his future partner and his future children. So I just think it starts with who are you? And then what environment do you thrive in? And what are you doing that you don't want to be doing? And what are
Mm-hmm.
you not doing that you want to be doing? And set up a space and an environment and a community that helps you follow through on the things that bring you joy.
Mm-hmm. So getting a little bit more specific,
Hmm.
you've mentioned your white flowy dress and
Hmm.
your I think it was soft fabric.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Uh,
pink.
how pink? Okay. How did you know that those were the things that would make you feel you? I mean, because if you're redecorating a room,
Hmm.
there's so many choices, right?
Absolutely.
How
Yeah.
do you find and draw in the things, the pieces that are gonna,
Yes.
you know, make you
So,
feel?
so again, who am I? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
here's another thing I did. There are those color tests, which
Mm-hmm.
I am a soft autumn, which is kind of autumn, but with a little bit of summer. And so, like, blush and pink is my signature color. And I
Mm-hmm.
just developed this in the past 8 to 10 years. My husband's is like a really icy blue because he has different coloring and like he's more masculine and things like that. And he didn't decide this, but I know that his whole closet is full of it. So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
therefore we need to have things in our home that are pleasing to his eye. And then I
Yes.
need some greenery and I need a soft throw and he likes silver and ice blue and navy, right? And so, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
more greens and roses and like caramel colors, warm, very warm colors.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to kind of blend that because that way it'll be a mixture of both of our personalities and our what we like. And so again, it's just about what brings you when you walk in a store or you walk in a room, what's the first thing that you see? Some people are very minimalist and
Mm-hmm.
they don't want a lot of green plants because they're traveling a lot. They don't want to water them. They're running out the door. And I have friends like this. They've got to-do lists and that's what makes them happy. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't need a lot of high maintenance plants and a garden and things like that. So it's really about how do you best operate? What makes you happy? What colors do you look good in? That's more a high level aesthetic, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also brings you joy. So
Mm-hmm.
it boils down to specifically, there's no blanket answer because each person's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I do have a lot of plants.
Yeah.
They just get they get moved when we move. Um,
Well, they're
but
healthy for you.
exactly,
Yes,
it's a wellness thing.
it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're green. So green's one of my
Yeah.
colors for sure. For sure. And that's interesting. What are some maybe uncommon things for people to think about um when going through this process?
Well, I think one of the most uncommon things people end up thinking about, but don't think about normally, is spirituality in your home.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean, religion,
Hmm.
dogmatic, anything like that, unless that's what you do, unless you like some folks, and I'm not saying this is dogmatic at all, but some folks need to live within walking distance of a temple because they're
Sure.
not allowed to walk on a Saturday. That's a priority.
Hmm.
So spirituality is a top priority in their home
Hmm.
and in the location of their home and things like that. But for others, it could be that you have a Zen den. It could be that you ground yourself in nature. And so you need to have somewhere within your community that you can walk by the water and have a bunch of trees and things like that. Um, it could just be a quiet place to meditate. It could be, I have a church that I can walk to down the street. I also
Hmm.
have a yoga center that I can drive to, and I literally could walk there if I wanted to. So both of
Hmm.
those are spirituality to me.
Hmm.
And so I think that's kind of a sleeper one. But I did have a friend of mine. She's an author as well. We both did some memoir type stuff, and she was the head of the memoir group here in Atlanta. Well, she moved to a city a little farther north of here, and so she read my book as she was moving, and she said, it's such a beautiful place on the lake, and I love it. And but what I really didn't realize is that I was missing spirituality, and I hadn't
Mm.
settled in my home yet. And she said the next day after I read that chapter, I went and found a church, and now I'm so much happier because I felt like something was missing. And so it's kind of a sleeper.
Hmm.
It's not usually the first thing that you think about when you're thinking about a home, but it
Hmm.
does bring happiness.
Yes. What if how to phrase this question? What is the most interesting or surprising or crazy thing that has come out of this for you personally?
Oh gosh. Um, okay, this is a good one. So, the most surprising thing when I was getting divorced and about to move into a different home than our marital home,
Hmm.
I was looking around for where I wanted to go.
Hmm.
And I drove around and I was like, oh, I just want a little cottage. I was coming from like a 8,000 square foot plus basement. Like it was huge with
Right.
like a lot of maintenance and all that stuff. And I was like, I just need to push the easy button. And I just want a cute little cottage where someone else maintains the yard. And maybe I have some, an herb garden. That's all I want. Well, I
Hmm.
drove through some neighborhoods and do you know the neighborhood? So this is now 15 years later. The neighborhood I drove through and said, that is my perfect home, is the home that my now husband bought after he got divorced. And I'm
Oh,
now living in one of these cottages. Isn't that
wow.
funny? Talk about manifestation. I had a cottage
Yes.
on my board. What do you call your vision? My vision board for
Mm-hmm.
years. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I needed easy, and so I moved into that apartment, that condo.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I did want a house again one day,
Mm-hmm.
preferably with, my perfect mate who was also on my vision board. It just didn't have a face to it. It just had, and then came you, I think is what it said. So
Oh, fun.
he had the cottage I wanted, and I came over for dinner, and I was like, I didn't even say anything because I was like, that's going to seem weird that I drove through this neighborhood, like loving these homes. And then we ended up, a couple years later getting married, and I was like, that could not have worked out more perfectly.
Oh, that's great. I love it. I
Yeah.
had something similar happen actually, and we're talking 25 years ago at least. Driving around, kind of just dreaming and driving through this neighborhood around a golf course and thinking, or I think I even said it out loud, yeah, I'd love to live in this neighborhood. Thinking that'll never happen because at the time we were young, starving parents, right?
Right.
And not long after, within a year or two, we were looking. No, we were not looking, but the realtor who had sold us our house that we were living in, came to us and said, "I have this property. You guys, I really think you would be interested in it." So we went and looked at it, and it was in that neighborhood,
Wow.
like a quarter mile up a gravel road.
Wow.
So, and it was, so it wasn't on the golf course,
Yes.
but it overlooked the golf course,
Wow. That sounds
and it was
amazing.
in our price range because
Unbelievable.
it was, a 1960 modular. And
Oh
so
gosh.
it was inexpensively priced for where it was located. And we lived there for 20 years. We bought it, lived there for 20 years. And I had to drive through that neighborhood that I had dreamed about every day to
Right.
come and go for my home.
Isn't that funny? Life has
Yeah.
these little twists and turns that,
Yeah.
um, and I think once you get on the right track and you're living authentically, and I think that word's overused, but just really living
Mm-hmm.
how it makes you happy,
Mm-hmm.
and doing what you're supposed to be doing, just, it's like serendipity.
Mm-hmm.
Good things just start coming your way. You meet people that you were meant to meet, opportunities arise. And I think it starts with that. And sometimes when you're off track, you don't realize how much better your life could be with just a few adjustments, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Hmm.
Just allowing yourself to dream, I think, is a big one.
Yes. And opening
Allowing
your
yourself.
mind
Mm-hmm.
to doing the deep dive so that you have clarification on, well, God, well, now that I've read this chapter and gone, and I wrote down, I don't like how close I am to the neighbors. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there.
Right.
And then you realize like, well, that does aggravate me every day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you think, well, I guess, I could make a change, but is it serious enough for me to make a change? But so
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's one thing and then another area, but it's just clarifying
Mm-hmm.
how you're feeling in your home. Are you frustrated with something? Are you lonely? What?
One last thing I wanted to ask you about. You have mentioned something called the front door feeling exercise. What is
Mhm.
that about?
So, like, whether you're coming home from work, or it's even better when you're coming home from vacation and you've been away from your home for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
as you're approaching the house and you're walking through the front door, what are your feelings? Are you so happy to be home and relieved, like, I can relax now, or I can't wait to cook in my kitchen, or I can't wait till my kids run down the stairs, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you're approaching, are you kind of like driving around a little while so you don't have to get home yet? And is your home stressful? And so that when you're walking through that front door, the first thing that you see is it like annoying you? Is it laundry just coming out of a too small laundry room? Or, just is it kind of gloomy? There's not enough light in there. So, how are you feeling when you walk through your front door? Are they good feelings or bad feelings? And just sit with that for a minute.
Mm. And then go through the wheelhouse workshop.
Right. The deeper dive,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
In each of the 8 areas, which, some
Right.
may be a 10 and a 10 out of 10, and some may be a 4 out of 10. And some may be a 1 or 2 out of 10, and those are the
Hmm.
ones you really have to pay attention to.
Yeah. And would you agree? You don't have to change it all at once. You
No,
just
that's impossible.
peel the onion one
Yeah,
layer at a
pick one
time.
thing. Pick
Hmm.
one area, or even if it's something like I cannot tackle that I don't really like living in the city because whatever, this is where my job is, et cetera, et cetera. But maybe you look at a different area, like maybe I need to get out for more walks. And there's a beautiful park, that gets me kind of out of the hustle bustle. Maybe I just try to do that at least 3 times a week. So that may raise your bar for fun and leisure or recreation from a 5 to a 7. But if you can do
Hmm.
that in each area, you're just up leveling your life.
I love it. I love
hmm
it. Kim, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we bring this episode to a close?
No, I'm just trying to get these frameworks out to as many people as possible, so you can go to my website, you can take a workshop, read the book, all the things. But I love talking about it. So I'm so thankful you've had me on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Kim, thank you so much for spending time with us today and unpacking all of these great thoughts.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Be sure to check the show notes for links mentioned in this episode and join us in the Living the Good Life Facebook community for previews of each episode, the opportunity to pose questions directly to our guests, bonus content, and a community of people committed to living their best life and sharing the journey. Thanks for listening. Let us know what value you received from this episode and what you'd like us to explore in the future in the comments. And please take a moment to drop us a like or some stars. I'm Kimberly Henry. Let's get out there and live the good life.